Hi there. If this video should prove to be my epitaph, then let it be so. Because we have come to the final Sephirot, which is actually the first Sephirot of the Kabbalistic tree of life, keter, to which I have ascribed the affirmational injunction, let go. And that seems appropriate, really, because it seems like this Sephirot is terminus, or the end, the omega rather than the alpha. But in traditional Kabbalistic circles, of course, keter is the beginning of whirling motions. It is the primal matter, the prana, that which comes before matter. It is the realm of ideas that exist before those ideas become manifest. It is the idealist, the world of the mind of God, but it is the creator God we're talking about here, so I'm not quite sure of what value that is, because I was thinking of all the six things that must be let go of in order to attain enlightenment, and the last of which, number 6, is very important. And when I say let go, I think in this case I mean reject, repudiate, and renounce, because the way of the renouncer seems to me to be the one that is of the purest spiritual quality. And I was on that path until I was about 30, and then I fell off the path, I'm afraid, and became a householder instead of a renouncer, to my bitter. And I've been regretting it ever since, really, in many different ways. Not all the time. There have been peaks and troughs, obviously, but that is the way of the lower worlds, of course, is the peaks and the troughs. I certainly I let go of humanity, because humanity is founded and maintained on exploitation, manipulation, predation, enslavement, destruction, and welfare, which is a system whereby losers like me are rewarded for not doing anything in life, for not bettering themselves, because I am a loser, a great big loser. I'm also depressive, and I'm also a burden on the taxpayer. And I'm really hoping that one day some kind Nazis will come along and kill me, because I'm not man enough to take my own life. And that's the truth of that matter. So far from being social justice, I mean, a bit of social injustice would probably do me a world of good, really, personally, or not, because I don't know. Put me in a cardboard box and let me beg on the street. That's all I'm worth, really. The second thing that I let go of, I let go of nature, because underneath the beauty of nature is suffering, disease, scarcity, injury, threat, and that's what makes up nature. That's the essence of nature. I also let go of the psychic worlds, which are the sources of egotism, madness, and delusion. And because you can believe whatever you want, and what you believe is true, actually what you believe is probably false. And if it is true, it's simply a placebo effect on one hand, and pure chance on the other. And of course the 20% rule as well, that all the sort of alternative healing is only effective 20% of the time on 20% of the people. And it reduces symptoms by 20%, which if there's not much wrong with you, feels like a lot, life-changing. But if there's a lot wrong with you, then 20% is neither here nor there. So I reject the psychic healing worlds, the new age hippy-dippy worlds of the demiurge, because madness and delusion are part of that God's raison d'etre. I let go of matter, because matter is the prison. Matter is where soul is imprisoned, and not necessarily. And I, me, and mine are basically some kind of substitute for the fact that soul is imprisoned in matter. So matter is the prison itself, and then positive existence, because this is the root of all the other evils. It's the root of the prison. It's the root of the evils I've already mentioned. And then finally, I reject any sense of self, because it's this sense of self that perceives and is the root of all of evil. But I do want to discuss this in a bit more detail in another video, because needs a little bit more sort of needs more fleshing out, as it were, as a point. But certainly, when you lose all sense of self, then I suppose you let go of all the other five evils: positive existence, evil, psychism, nature, and humanity itself, and your own sense of self disappears, and then you just have the breath, or you just have the body. Which the irony is, of course, that reconnects you to matter, which is something that I thought we had rejected and renounced and repudiated, which of course is the connection between keter and malkut, when they say that keter and malkut are intimately entwined at the present time. But this, of course, makes it possible, of course, for some redemption to occur within malkut, or the kingdom, or the material plane. So it's only by losing all sense of self in the material plane can you let go of matter itself under the evil, the God, the Lord of this world, who is the root of all evil. Keter means crown. That's literal translation. But here we see that it is in fact a crown of thorns, and a crown of thorns atop an old wooden cross, upon which is the twisted body of Christ, Christ crucified on Golgotha, and the death that the spirit is crucified on the scaffold of matter, and the soul is twisted and tormented and teased, and finally the spear pierces the side of the Christ, the Anointed One, and they say that the blood then ran into what became the Holy Grail, which is a kind of receptacle for the blood of Christ to run into. If it was running, it would mean that Jesus was still alive when the spear penetrated his side. I would have thought, though, that the crucifixion would have done for him before that would happen. But anyway, because blood doesn't run when you're dead, basically. And you may say, what about hope? Where is there hope in all this, in this dreadful scenario that I've painted here? And of course, the hope is in the risen Anointed One, the arisen Christ, because that is when matter caves in and gives up, and releases its stranglehold on soul, which is indicate the Christ light, and the roll away the stone, and there is the empty tomb, which is the end of death, and the transcendence of death, and the sting of death. Come death, where is thy sting? And so the only hope, basically, is that the hand of the transcendental God will pluck the soul from this terrible situation, and pluck the soul from this, and take with it some consciousness which has been cultivated over the life of the Gnostic, through meditation and contemplation, and through prayer, and through ritual even, whereby all the sense of self is lost, and the I, me, and mine is lost. And basically you reject and renounce and repudiate and don't do shopping, shopping online and shopping at the mall, because shopping is the only way, personally, that I feel better about myself. Shopping and eating. If you practice meditation instead, you will lose the desire, and you will lose the bodily needs as well. I didn't practice before because I didn't really believe in it, um, and I wish I had believed in it more because I would have saved myself a lot of grief. But it is only through suffering, of course, that we arrive at the terminus. We arrive at keter through suffering. We arrive to keter as a result of the crucifixion, and the resurrection. So there is no easy path to keter, at least according to Christian Kabbalah, anyway. And that death and resurrection, of course, occurs at Tipperet. And then from there, you arrive at keter through the straight path of the camel. And the camel actually is the camel is the symbol, I suppose, of a person going across the wasteland or the desert. The caravans of the east, sort of thing. And I suppose all this is probably going to be rejected by a lot of you who are going to say, well, this is the song of the loser, the song of the depressive, and the song of the person who is on welfare and is a burden on the hard-working taxpayer. And this is all that they've come up. This is their epitaph, whereas the strong person, the person who's in charge of their own destiny, the person that is prepared to do anything in order to survive, they have a different song to sing, and more cheerful, more robust, sort of more kind of dun 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 dun. Da 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 da. God save the Queen. And they've got a different song to sing, a much more cheerful song to sing than this dirgy old loser's kind of epitaph or hymn. And Christianity, of course, people will say was the religion of women and slaves. Whereas the great Roman Empire ruled the Capitoline gods, Mars, Jupiter, and Juno, and conquered and ruled the world for 1,000 years. And how great was the adventure? They had a great time of it. Well, they had a great time if they weren't slaves, I suppose, or women. If they were men, Roman senators, they had a great time, which is as it should be. I mean, you've got a triangle, and at the top of the pyramid or triangle, you have the elite, and then you have the grogs, the slaves, at the base of the triangle, the pyramid. And the thing to do is that we have a meritocracy, right? So you can start off with nothing and you can end up with everything, which is the American dream, of course. And you can, make something of yourself. You don't have to be born into wealth. You can acquire wealth. You can have luck and loot. And this is the path of the winner. This is the path of the person who's going to have it all. And it started off, like Scarlet in the Gone with the Wind, holding up a single turnip and saying, "I will survive, and I will blah blah blah," and having riches at the end, but no daughter, I'm afraid. Kind of everything. Anyway, so if this is my epitaph, then so be it. One more video to make, going into the details of losing one's sense of self. And possibly one on change as well, on transitions, because no doubt in the lower worlds, everything is change and transitions. We're making constant transitions from one state to another. This is a feature of the worlds of the demiurge, and we're on this roller coaster. going up and down, loss and gain, dukkha and sukha, pleasure and misery. And one day, though, a hand of God will come down and pluck the soul from this giddy from this giddy circus fair, and deliver us to who knows where, and to become who knows what. And perhaps it will be a brilliant place to be. Perhaps it'll be a pretty much scary place to be at first, until you get used to the stream of consciousness, the stream of data that comprises the transcendental realm, which some people have experienced a little bit of when they've been on magic mushrooms or LSD. But once you got used to that, it could be a pretty kind of jolly place to be, really. A bit like No Man's Sky. You can visit 9 quintillion planets and worlds, and in creative mode, and you won't have to worry about scarcity or anything. You just fly around from one planet to another. Sounds great to me. I would do that, but I'm losing my eyesight as well, so I can't really do much computer PC gaming really now. It'd be a waste of my eyesight if I was to get into that. And the funny thing is that without eyesight, a lot of the things that we do on computer are not available. And our culture is more or less based on computers, based on eyesight, based on having screens to look at. And so the person who doesn't have any sight is going to be excluded from a lot of modern culture by definition. I throw that out there as well. But this isn't about feeling sorry for myself. One must let go of everything, including let go of self-pity, I must say. And you do your little quests like you do on No Man's Sky, or other PC games. And you might even leave. You might even get to win the game, and to leave the game, to leave the game's nightmarish world, and to actually liberate yourself. I remember the moment that I won Quake 2, and you liberate yourself. You get out of that terrible planet called Scrog, and you leave the planet forever, and the feeling of like, whoa, I've done it, I've left this world, I've left it. It was a fantastic moment, I suppose, a moment to savor. Winning Quake 2 was on hard. That was a moment to savor. So it's really come to, we're a pretty miserable lot if it's come to, like, winning a computer game to make us feel good about ourselves, but that's modern life for you, isn't it? Anyway, so let go. This is what one should do when one reaches keter. And basically, you should let go when you've reached all the sephirot of the Kabbalistic tree of life, because you can't take it with you. That's basically the moral of the story. Can't take it with you, and don't want to take it with you either. You won't want to take it with you. But as I say, if you're a winner, then you'll reject this rather miserable song of the loser, and of the depressive, and of the welfare scrounger, which is what I am.